Tiffini Stone, a mental health advocate and entertainment professional. Tiffini began her journey as a mental health rehabilitation specialist at a mental health center in the Valley, and this is where her passion for this field grew. She has volunteered at multiple prisons, spoken at high schools, and held seminars educating her community on the importance of mental health. Even now, working as an executive assistant, she has continued to use her platform to support mental health and uplift her community, advocating for additional education opportunities and supporting a community that needs to hear, "It's okay not to be okay." Tiffini is from Santa Clarita, California, has 2 brothers, loves to hike, write poetry, play basketball, and be around her family and friends. So here we have Miss Tiffini Stone. Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of the Queen Me Show. For those of you tuning in, thank you for tuning into the second episode. And today we're going to have Miss Tiffini Stone. So let's bring her onto the show. Hey girl.
Oh my goodness, you look amazing.
Thank you. So do you. Thank you for coming onto my show. I'm so excited to talk about this topic. So how have you been? How's life?
I've been so good. Honestly, COVID really changed a lot of things for me. I dug deeper into myself and just trying to figure out, one of the things I wanted to do in life and how I wanted to just like be a light, and especially amidst COVID where we're like, no, we can't be social, we can't be outside or anything. So
Yes.
It's been great though. I've loved it, to be honest.
That is so awesome. And I feel like this is the perfect time for the perfect topic, right? Mental health.
Absolutely.
We have been going through so much the past year. So tell us about what really got you into mental health.
Well, for me, it was my first post-grad job. So I started working at a mental health clinic and it changed my life. I started working with all adults. I was only 21 years old at the time, and I was working with adults 26 to 60. So I was working with individuals who were suffering from severe mental illness. So schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, anything that you think you see in the movies, like just think about that. And that really changed the game for me. And it made me kind of double back and think, wow, like when I was 19, I went through something so similar to like what I'm seeing now and how I'm helping these people. And that's what really made me so passionate about it, because I felt that if I would have been educated, if I would have known the things that I was going through, I could have helped myself more, but also helped others help me. I would have known what to ask. I would have known who to go to. But at that age, I didn't know. No one talked to me about it. So I, at that point, was like, I have to talk about this. I have to educate people, because I would never want this to happen to anyone that I love or anyone just that I know.
Right.
Really what like changed the game for me.
That's awesome. So in college, you were an athlete, right?
Right.
So I'm going to know all about that. And
at heart, still an athlete at heart.
You still are. Girl, you are a hooper at heart. Little side note, Tiffini can hoop. Man, like we played in the
something in my pocket.
Basketball Beauties League. What was that? 2 summers ago? Was it 2 summers ago?
2 summers ago, we couldn't do the summer.
Yes. Okay. So, and it was just fun, and it felt so good to compete at that level. So speaking of becoming an athlete, yeah. I know I've received a question from one of the athletes that I train. So how do you deal with depression and anxiety, especially as an athlete? If you could, tell us your background story or.
Yeah. So when I was a sophomore at UC Riverside, so I was 19 years old, I was a track athlete. So I was primarily a jumper, and I did long jump and triple jump. And during that time, I was told by a coach that I was too big for my sport. So essentially, I was too thick to be a jumper. And it hit me really hard. So I started training like crazy. And I was barely eating. I was working out like 3 to 4 times a day. And it was like very unhealthy. And I felt that my mentality went down, the way I felt about myself went down, all of that. And one of the ways that I dealt with that time period of my life was I did yoga. Very spiritual, so I read the Bible a lot. And I feel like looking back, I wish I could have actually asked for help. I wish I would have told someone what was said to me and how it made me feel, so I could have processed it better.
Right.
Words can really hurt. And I don't think that coach meant it in the way that he said, but I took it very seriously. I'm an athlete. I want to make whoever is coaching me proud. I want to make myself proud. I want to be great at my sport.
Right.
So I think if anyone were to ask, how to deal with depression and anxiety when you're in a sport, is talk to someone, seek a professional, a counselor, a therapist, go to your coach. And if your coach doesn't listen to you, go to your parents. If your parents don't listen to you, go to your friends. If your friends don't listen to you, go to your school. I mean, exhaust all avenues, because someone out there wants to help and can help. And there's so many resources available to people who are struggling.
Right.
That's the first thing I would say to do. In terms of anxiety, there are a lot of things in terms of breathing exercises that I do that help calm down my heart rate. And there's also a lot of meditation things that I do as well, and we'll get into it later, but manifestations as well. I choose to manifest as opposed to meditate, but some people, meditation works for them. So you got to dive into what works for you.
Right.
Everybody is different. Every individual is different, and there are different things that work for different people.
Right. And I feel like nowadays it's so, we get so caught up in being depressed because of what we're going through in the world, and so we tend to overthink. A lot of us are professional overthinkers, right? And I've spoken to you about this. You're literally like my therapist. Little do you guys know, me and Tiffini are on the phone all the time. I'm like, help me out. But I feel like it also comes with a lot of, understanding and acceptance, right? Right. So being depressed it's a hard state of mind. And I feel like you control your own feelings, right? Talk about intentions and manifestations versus resolutions.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes. Well, this year I wanted to do something different. I found, the word manifest to literally be exactly everything I did in this last year. I manifested really where I'm at in life and who I'm around and the people that are around me. And that in itself showed me, hey, like, instead of resolutions, instead of trying to fix anything, why don't I set intentions for what I desire? Why don't I set intentions for what I want, and manifesting those into existence, like literally channeling that energy into what I would desire. So it kind of made me feel less of like, I have to fix this. No, I want to manifest it. I want to set this as an intention for what I do.
Right. Right.
As opposed to like, there's something of myself that I have to fix.
Right.
For me personally, mental health related, the hardest thing I struggle with is feeling like I'm enough. I've been in relationships where I haven't felt like I'm enough. I've been in scenarios, even in like I said, in track and field, even in basketball, when I felt my skill wasn't enough, who I wasn't enough. And I constantly struggle with that. So for me, it was setting an intention, like, I am going to check myself when I feel these ways and remind myself that I am enough. Who I am is enough, just being who I am.
Right.
Like at the core of it. And then everything else stems from that. So, okay, I set an intention. I'm going to meditate this morning, or I'm going to go on a run, or I'm going to go and hike and enjoy like what nature has to offer me. Like, these are all things that increase my own mental health for me, for Tiffini. Nobody else can do that for me. No one can sit there and say, I love you and let me shower you with gifts or whatever. No, I'm the one that is in control of how I feel about me.
Exactly.
That.
I feel like, you know what? I just see the glow coming from you. And girl, you are lighting up the room. I feel like you mentioned how you struggled with being enough. So I feel like in order to fix that, you need to be confident in yourself, right? So give us some confidence advice, because I know there's a lot of, younger girls out there who are still struggling to really accept themselves, right? So give us some type of advice on the confidence part.
I think for me, what the things that I'm confident about are how loving I am. So I remind myself, I love my family. I love my friends. I love the people I work with. I'm constantly putting energy into them. And I remind myself that I need to have that same love for myself. So even something very simple as getting my hair done to make me feel a little bit better, switching it up, waking up extra early to go on a run just so I can feel a little bit better about getting something very small in even 10 minutes. Like I do little things that I know that are going to make me aesthetically feel better, but then I also remind myself that there's so much more to me than what I look like.
Right.
There's so much things that are more deeper to me, and I pull from those moments. I pull from people that I've met and that I've talked to, that I get to know, because I love people. I love learning about people. I love showing people how much I do care. And I remind myself that that is a part of me that I really enjoy. And that's what makes me so confident when I go into the world, is knowing the energy that I'm putting out there.
Yes. And if you guys need to meet Tiffini, because once you meet her, you literally can feel her energy and light the first 0.5 seconds you meet this woman. Okay? So you are amazing. And I just I just love that about you, right? And one thing to continue that on is this quote that I saw: not everything is going to be happy with what you want in your life, right? And so that comes, right, bars, that comes with not really caring about what other people think about you in life, right? And comparison is literally the thief of joy. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who are tuning in agree. So speaking of the people tuning in, let's show some love. So we have Tita Ivy Bondoc. Hi, Tita. The whole family is watching, by the way. Abby Pascual. She's my best friend from college, Janine Reyes. Thank you. Mila, Tiana, Nico. We have T. We have T. We have Ari we have the Bay Area logged in, girl. We have Giselle. Shai, the topic about mental health. Keep it up, fam. Thank you. I can't do this without Miss Tiffini here, and she's so passionate about this. We have the Philippines watching, girl. My uncle. We have the Bay Area. Auntie Sheila. Great tips, ladies. See, you're inspiring so many people already through the blessing of this virtual advantage that we have. I would never miss this. Aw, we love you, T. So for those of you tuning in, we have Miss Tiffini Stone here. She is very passionate about the topic mental health, and I can't wait for her to give us more advice. So let's get back to it. Okay, so we talked about intentions and manifestations. Talk about mental health as a woman of color.
Okay, I'm going to interject. You can hear my cat in the background. Just know I'm not giving him attention right now that he needs.
No, you're good. You're good.
Remind me what you said again?
Mental health.
Oh my goodness. We are living through some very, very difficult times as any individual of color. Specifically speaking to our women, of course, but as any individual of color, we are watching people being murdered that look like us. We're watching people, walk up into the Capitol that don't look like us, and nothing really is happening. And I feel like it's very difficult as a person to see someone that either looks like your brother, your sister, your family, your friends, and seeing those people getting hurt and not being cared for. I think it's the biggest thing is that we feel as though we're not being cared for and that nobody cares about what's going on with us. And I think that being someone like knowing when to shut off social media, that is the biggest thing for me. I can acknowledge, I want to know what's going on in the world, so I tune in. But the minute I feel a trigger, I tune out. And I think it's so important for us to be able to say, this is enough for me tonight. I can't watch this anymore. I can't see this anymore because it's detrimental to myself. For me specifically, I become very triggered when I see that because I think of my family. I think of the people that I love. Put in those scenarios, I don't know what I would do if I saw somebody that I love being hurt on the internet. If I saw someone, even thinking about it makes me feel sick to my stomach. So being able to navigate social media in the best way possible. And this also goes to confidence. with looking at other people and thinking that they have more or that their body looks better or whatever. Like, you have to know when to shut off, and when to tune into yourself and figure out, okay, what do I need to do to help myself feel better in this space? Because watching this happen isn't making me feel better. And I think that that's the most important thing. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know when something is not beneficial for you. And specifically, I have had to numerous times not log in to any news source, any social media platform. I've had to literally set my phone aside and be like, I need to do something to help myself feel better because this is really hurting me, and making me feel alone. We feel so alone in this world when these things continue to happen, and we feel so out of control. I think that's a lot of where anxiety comes from. You feel the lack of control, like you don't know what to do anymore. So that's where, for me, like I said, I take a step aside and say, I can't look at this anymore. It's detrimental to me.
Yeah, and I feel like social media, period, has such a big effect on people perceive our neighbor or a woman of color. So nowadays, how do you stand up for the woman, the woman in your life who are going through these, discriminations, these judgmental tactics on social media? How would you give that type of advice, or what proper advice would you give to women of color in our society?
I think for me, it's being present. We're living through times where we can't even be outside with other people. We can't engage. We can't even, it's not really socially acceptable. And given the circumstances, it's totally understandable. But sometimes it makes us feel even more alone. And I think sometimes making an extra call, hey girl, how are you doing? Really talk to me and tell me how you're doing. Similar to how we caught up, just last week, like, I feel like being that support is so important. And also, like, something too that I've done, even if I'm going to a store and I got a mask on, opening the door for somebody, saying, girl, your mask looks good, or something like that. Something so small can change someone's perception of themselves. It can be that light for them. So I choose, especially when I'm in my darkest moments, I choose to try to make somebody else's light shine. Just a small little smile, just anything. Like, I really just try to look for something in a day that I can do for anyone, even like the people that I work with or my friends. I'm calling them, checking in on them, like stuff like that. That's one of the things how I really try to show my support is I be present.
Yeah, and I love that about you. You literally bring the best out of everybody. And I feel like when there's more people in the world like you, the world would honestly be a better place, because the world that we live in right now, it's not perfect. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of jealousy that goes on. But I feel like a lot of people need to understand, the more you give, there's literally nothing you could lose. Like, if you give up, there's nothing there. It doesn't hurt to become a nice person, right? So, to go back to the topic of mental health, a lot of people have a lack of communication, which then tends to have some miscommunication along the line. So, even in the workforce, relationships, family, what is the importance of communication, and how do you improve this skill?
So I think like the basic like answer for that is like, it's so important to communicate because no one's going to know how you feel unless you say it. But sometimes saying how you feel isn't easy. I personally have struggled with probably all my life saying exactly how I feel, because I've had a fear of not being accepted for that feeling, or for anything for that matter, like this huge fear of acceptance. And I think a lot of individuals struggle with that. But for me, something I really wanted to work on was being able to not be passive aggressive in how I felt, not resenting anyone because I didn't say how I felt. So I actually made a conscious effort to articulate how I felt, but in a way of compassion, so that whoever I'm speaking to knows, like, this is just how I'm coming from my end. How do you feel about what I just said? I always make it like this is how I feel and this is how I feel. It's not that. It's like, this is how I feel. How do you feel given that I just told you that? Like, or whatever that may be. And again, like, communication is so important, because if we don't communicate, we don't know, and then we may say something or do something that's hurtful to somebody else. And then people are just acting off that hurt. So then you're just perpetuating hurt, and it's an endless cycle. And I'm talking about it because I've been through it. I have done that. I have hurt somebody not knowing because I myself have been hurt. So to stop the cycle, one of the things that I've done is really said, hey, I have to take accountability for the fact that I didn't communicate the way that I could have. I say, hey, look, I apologize for not communicating when I could have, and here's how I feel about it now. And sometimes people are not always going to accept you. Sometimes it's like it's their loss if they don't. But if you don't say how you feel, it's never going to fix the situation. It's never going to mend a relationship. It's never going to do any good by sitting and harvesting those emotions, you know?
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Like, I feel like in any situation, communication is so important. There's nobody out there that can read your mind. So how will they ever find out how you feel? Right.
Let's I want people to understand it's hard. Like, it's not something that I'm like sitting here, oh yeah, I communicate so easy. Like, I have to be intentional about communicating with anything.
Right.
Sometimes it's very difficult to say, like, nobody wants to be vulnerable. No one wants to say, like, for instance, like, oh, I love you, and that person doesn't say they love you back. Like, nobody wants that situation.
Yeah.
You know? But I feel, though, if you don't allow yourself, like, to actually work on trying to say it in a way, you're never going to feel good. You're never going to feel complete within yourself, and you're always going to be sitting there harboring those emotions, and that's never good. It's never good to sit there and feeling the way you feel and not being able to articulate it.
Ever at all. I don't think that ever feels good. But there are times where you literally just have to like get it off your chest. And my cousin said, Jurianne said, it's so difficult. Preach. It is hard. It ain't easy. Naphtali said communication is key. Yes. Ariana agreed. She said absolutely. But yes, it is not easy. Sometimes you literally have to go out of your comfort zone to make big steps in your life. If it was easy, then, you know, everybody would be so used to it, you know, but it's not, it's a skill. It's a skill that you could learn, but it all starts with yourself, right?
Yeah, be gentle, be kind to yourself. I think I'm probably one of my biggest critics. And I had to like learn how to talk to myself and be like, hey, it's okay that you're feeling like this. It's okay that you don't know how to communicate right now. Give yourself time. And the people that are meant to be in your life will be passionate towards you, will understand, will love you through that whole, this whole year, I have literally seen the people in my life step up and like be there when they know, like, look, I'm working all day. I can't call you back right now, but I'm going to eventually call you back. You know,
right.
That's communicating as an adult. We like, not all of us can sit here and talk at 24/7, and having people that understand, hey, like, I'll get back to you in 2 to 3 business days. Like, and they love you the same because they know that you are there for them, and they know where your heart is at. So that was like huge this year, was like, wow, my friends have so stepped up to support me when I've needed them most, and they don't make me feel bad about not calling them back the minute they call me, you know?
Exactly. And that starts off where? Communication, because you communicated that, right? Yeah. And okay, so we've learned about communication. Now, what about women's body image? Let's talk about
it.
Like, wow. We are all made in different shapes and sizes,
honey.
Right? There's a lot of plastic surgery going on. A lot of people on the social media doing whatever it takes, you know, just to make them look good, which is good. Honestly, I respect whatever woman's decision, whatever they want to do with their body, right? Absolutely. But tell me about how, because there's a lot of, you know, younger ones that do tune in. Tell me about your perspective on, if you were a younger woman, how would you build that confidence in yourself and just trust yourself to not compare?
So I will speak from experience. As a 19-year-old, I suffered from bulimia pretty much for the entire year. And I was bulimic because I felt that I had to be super skinny for my sport. And I felt that if I ate too much, like, I felt just disgusting and I wanted to get it all out. Right. And this I want everyone to know is wrong, and you need to seek help if you yourself are feeling these emotions. And someone, like, there are all a bunch of resources. But I feel like at that moment, I wish someone could have cradled that young girl and said, you are fine just the way you are. Keep working hard and don't do something that's so detrimental to your body. But at the time, I just saw all these other athletes and I said, I don't look like her. I don't look like her. I'm not as fast as her. And she's a lot skinnier than me. And this is how I perceived everything. And I feel like now looking back and I'm 26 now, and looking back, I'm like, wow, like I've seen the changes in how I see myself and my body. I see the changes in how I look at other social media, how I look at social media, how I perceive other women. And yes, I totally agree with you in that I totally want any woman who feels like she has whatever she wants to do, please feel confident in your decision for yourself. But me personally, I love myself for who I am.
You're open.
I have come to a point of like, I don't care what I look like. I don't care if I gain 20 pounds. I don't care if I lose 20 pounds. I'm still Tiffini. Nothing at all changes who I am deep down. And I think that me acknowledging that, understanding that, and also looking at other women and being like, girl, go ahead, do what you got to do. Oh, yes, girl. Like me giving out these compliments and like really relishing in their beauty helped me feel more beautiful about myself. So for me, like, I'm like the less is more on makeup, but I love a good girl that has a nice beat. I'm like, yes, honey, please. But I personally, for me, feel more beautiful with my natural features, but that's just me. And that's okay. So
right.
When I talk to other women about their body image and like, oh, I ain't got a big ass. I mean, sorry, booty, sorry. You know, I ain't got this or I ain't got that or whatever. I feel like it's like, well, why do you need that? If you need it to feel better about yourself, please go ahead. But like, what can we dive into that you don't feel good about yourself now? You know, do you want to work out more? Do you want to work out less? Like, what is it for you? And I think that we look online and we see all these other people and like what they're doing. And we're not thinking like, is that what I want for myself? Or do I just think I want that because I'm constantly seeing it and other people are glorifying it?
Right.
And I think for me, like my friends, my family, the people around me, like they love me for me. So I was like, why am I tripping over what I look like? Why do I, why do I even care? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So you talked about loving yourself. So how do you love yourself even more? Because there's a lot of women out there, you know, I'm being realistic. So there'll be sometimes I wake up and I'm like, dang, like, well, like I could have had this, I could have had that, but this is like me younger. I've learned to like truly like really accept myself and love myself. So how do you, Tiffini Stone, how do you wake up? Oh no, you're good. How do you wake up and just love yourself?
How do I wake up and love myself? Well, that's a really good question.
We're digging, girl.
What do I? You know what? I have a daily routine. Like I really focus on twice a week. I try to get twice a week a workout in, and if I don't, like that's fine. But those are things that I know. Like I'm eating as healthy as I can without dieting. I'm doing things like writing poetry, doing things like that I enjoy. For me, I hike. Oh my gosh, I love hiking. Going into nature, I just feel like so great about myself when I do that because I'm like literally connecting with God's work and just I always have this feeling of like there's so much more out there that I don't know, and I'm able to just like navigate that. So I think for me is doing those things, but also loving other people. I love what I do. I love my career. I love the people I work with. I love my friends, and I constantly like to show them that. So part of also like my love language, this is like a completely different topic, but my love language is act of service. And I realize like I get such like, it's like almost like a high of just doing small things for people, making them feel like I care for them because I do. And I want them to feel that love if no one else gives that to them. Even coaching, oh my gosh, like I volunteered at your, one of your camps that you did, and it was so amazing to be able to coach kids and be around them and share the love of the game with them. Even when I go into prisons and I work with the inmates, it's like I'm showing y'all how much I love basketball, and that's how much I love serving you guys. That's how much I love coming in there. And because most of those people aren't shown love.
Yeah.
Them literally have never felt love in their entire life. Can you imagine navigating the world never having someone actually love you or care for you or show them that they love. Like, I can't imagine that. I had an amazing family. I had an amazing upbringing of like my family showing me they love me. And I feel like I just want to give that to people, because people, I really feel in my heart, like for people who don't get to feel that, all I want to do is help them. All I want to do is show them that. So that's why it's like, I feel like my whole purpose in life is just to show people I love them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I totally do. And I don't think you have like one bad bone in your body ever since I met you. And that's what literally makes you shine and glow so much. It's literally your personality and that, like I said, that light that you give off to everybody. Right. And so I agree. A lot of more people need to start showing more love, because you have nothing to lose, right? And it's just so unfortunate for those people who really don't have that type of upbringing that you and I had.
Absolutely.
It's sad. I'm so blessed. I'm going to give a shout out to my family who have raised me, to become the woman that I am right now.
I'm what you're doing, girl.
Thank you. It's all God. But yeah, shout out to my mom, strongest woman I know. Shout out to my dad, hardest man I know. Even my brothers, my grandmas too. So is there anyone you want to give a shout out to that has helped you in your journey of showing more love and being a positive mental health advocate?
First off, my best friends, they know who they are. Freaking Aaliyah, Danny, not Sam. Like, these people have gone through every single moment in my life, from like the best to the worst, and they have never ever left my side. They have never ever given anything. And my family, of course, both my brothers, they've put up with me for so long, and I love them so much, each for who they are. And everyone I work with, God, I love everyone I work with. They're so supportive. My team is so dope. And it doesn't even feel like a job most days, because I get to go and work with such amazing people. So I really feel like this past year, entered a state of gratitude, because, and this is for anyone, like, I've been hurt plenty of times. I have stories for days on how many times I've been hurt and how I've felt that I've been in situations where I've been so loving and caring and people have taken advantage. But I just, for anyone out there who's listening, like, stay true to who you are, stay genuine, find that spark within yourself, that light, and share it, because it's going to come back. It's going to come back tenfold. And I am like screaming at young Tiff, who was 10, 11 years old, like, because she was so hurt and she felt so like, I did not know who I identified with. I did not know who I was. And I just felt like I was not accepted. And now at 26, I can look and be like, wow, like, she came so far and she never strayed from who she was. She's been loving. She's been passionate about people. And now I'm able to finally live in that joy and that peace. And I'm able to do so many things that I enjoy doing. And it's been so, it's been dope. It's been amazing. So even with COVID, thank God I haven't stopped working, but even with that, it's given me time to tap into other things that I enjoy doing. I just took up roller skating. I was like, I want to learn how to roller skate.
How was that?
I fell yesterday for the first time, but it was a fun fall. Like, it didn't hurt. And I've just been enjoying it, because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go buy some skates and figure it out. So just stuff like that. I just think you really, when you stay true to who you are, it will come back. You will be where you want to be. You will end up there. May not be in the timing that you want, but it will. It will happen.
I totally agree. And I feel like a lot of people.
For you, your knee, talk about that. Like, y'all don't know. She called me when she found out that she tore her knee. And looking where you're at now, I'm like, I'm so like, you gave us all the progress. We got to watch it. And I'm like, this girl's not going to give up. And she gonna make it where she want to go.
Oh, well, girl, this is about you, not me.
Like, it's about mental health. Like,
no, but you are. I mean, thank you so much for that shout out. I really wouldn't be here if you weren't there to like really push me to be at the right mental state, right? Because It's tough. It killed me, like, mentally, spiritually. I mean, more so mentally, because my spiritual health was up there, but mental health is important, you guys. Like what Tiff said, if you are going through something, do not be afraid to reach out to a friend, to somebody, because you cannot. I advise you guys to never suffer in silence.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing you can do, actually, just to, like, really, like, think that you have it handled, but in reality, there's people out there that really do love you. Like what Tim said, she is so big on, like, just spreading love, even to strangers. And
Going through, that darkness, I felt that. I felt like I can't even talk to my best friend about what I'm going through because I feel so low. I feel like I really feel like it's darkness, and anyone that has experienced that knows how it can feel, and it can feel so lonely. And I think that I wish that I would have been able to seek some help at that time before I did something that was detrimental to me.
right.
And I think that, and it's easier said than done, obviously, because I was at that age and didn't do it. But being educated and knowing that there are resources out there, even at my school, there was free counseling, but I didn't know that we had free counseling as athletes, And I think a lot of times with athletes, we identify as weak if we're asking for help. And that is literally the exact opposite. You are so strong when you ask for help, because digging yourself up out of that darkness is difficult. It is really hard.
Let's talk about that. How do you get out of that darkness?
Wow. I cannot say that I did it by myself. When I stopped binging and purging, I was caught by a friend, and that friend pulled me aside and she said, why are you doing this? And I told her I didn't know. I just didn't know how to talk about it. And she goes, you know what? The next time you feel this way, call me and we'll talk through it. Even if you end up throwing up, just call me. Her little support, I broke down because I was like, someone actually cares about what I'm doing. Right? So that's why I feel like I navigate the way I do, because I want to be that support for someone if they ever feel that way. Like I want someone to be able to be like, I'm really not okay. I don't know what to do. And then I give them that resource. But if you do feel that darkness, again, like you have to reach out to someone who's professionally equipped to help you. I think that's the first thing. And finding that, are like the suicide hotline. You can find it online, the number. There's so many different resources. And I think also just reaching out to your family and your friends, you have someone that you trust. And sometimes someone says, well, I don't have somebody I can trust. And that's so, so difficult. And with those moments, it's like sometimes you have to reach to a higher power, whether you believe in God, whether it's the universe, whatever it is, and ask for that guidance and that strength to pull yourself out of it and go seek that help. Because no one, if you can't help yourself, if the self-care routine that you have doesn't help, you have to seek somebody else.
I totally agree. So, speaking of your friend reaching out to you,
actually, I was locked in the bathroom. I was locked myself in the bathroom.
That's crazy.
I know. Young Tiff, man, she was something else.
But your friend knew. Your friend,
yeah, she knew.
She knew. So I received this question on my Instagram asking, how do you distinguish the signs from friends and how do you help them? You kind of answered that question already, but give us an answer in your terms, how you would help
my life. That friend changed my life. She saved me, because instead of saying you need to go get help, instead of saying what you're doing is wrong, instead of saying what the frick are you doing, Tiff, instead of saying that, she said, I just want to be here to support you. And it changed everything, because then it made me look like, dang, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And then I was able to really actually see myself, because that whole time I had no idea that I lost about 35 pounds. I had no idea that I was at 13% body fat. I mean, when I look at pictures, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you could have seen it, anyone, but no one saw, because I had such a good way of masking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like her just being that support and saying, hey, Tiff, if you need to call me when you feel this way, when you're feeling down, I will come pick you up. She's literally those words. I've never forgotten it. I've never forgot how comforting she made me feel. So sometimes for somebody else, it's saying like, hey, when you feel down, why don't you give me a call? Hey, like when you feel this way, let me pick you up and take you somewhere. Let's go to the beach. Or you know, it's any type of just like being present and being supportive and just being that safe haven for someone. It goes so far. For someone to make you feel like you're not alone, like that in itself is healing. And that's what for me really changed everything for me, having that support system. And that is literally, that support system is what keeps me alive today. Seriously.
Right.
You know, like anyone else, we all go through something. You know, 1 in 3 people in the entire world go through a mental health condition at one point in their life. That's basically almost every single person in this world. And imagine if all those people felt supported, you know, imagine if they had supportive people in their life. So just being able to be that for somebody else is so important.
Right. So I actually read this statistic. I know this is a woman empowerment show. I read this statistic that there are actually men. There are more men that commit suicide more than women, only because women.
Men follow through.
I'm sorry?
Men follow through. Like they're like out. Yeah.
So let's talk about how, you know, as a woman, we could be there like for the men in our life.
Yeah. And it's hard because men don't like to talk a lot. They don't like to dive into their emotions. They feel like it's weak. And I think
exactly.
I think sometimes meeting a man where he's at instead of trying to push them to be where you want them to be at.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard because we like, oh, I want you so bad to be in touch with yourself and like and whatever. But it's more so like, hey, what do you need? And I've had a man tell me like, I don't need anything. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's okay. But I have to say, okay, I did what I could and I left it there. Like that's where I left it. I gave my effort and that's what they said. So I think meeting them where they are and people, you'd be surprised. I have been so surprised with the male friends I've had in my life that have reached out. And I've actually we're really going through something. And one thing that I said to them, one caring remark or anything, just literally like opened up the flower and just the emotions and just allowing them to feel like it's okay for you to sit here and cry to me. Like, and
it's okay to cry, fellas.
Yes, like it's okay to shed tears. Like it's all right, you know? So I think that's what I would do.
I totally agree. And I loved how you said, meet me or to meet them where they're at as opposed to, oh, you need to be here.
Yeah.
And that goes with your manifestations and resolutions, resolutions, right? Yeah. I feel like a lot of us have too many high expectations that when we don't reach those expectations and, you know, relationships in life and work, we tend to get disappointed, right? So how do you set yourself up to not expect so much in life and just to be happy and be appreciative for what you have? Because if you focus on the things you don't have, you tend to be sad, depressed. You tend to just beat yourself up mentally. So how do you stay in the moment? How do you stay present?
Well, one thing too I want to say is that being a mental health advocate doesn't mean I have all the answers. It doesn't mean that, oh, Tiff don't ever get sad or feel down or anything like that. It's literally the exact opposite. I think one of the resolutions I used to have last year was that I didn't want to feel as depressed or like I kind of just said I didn't want to have any like depression anymore. And like I had to change that this year to like have an intention of being able to care for myself better during my depressive episodes because I still have them. Life events happen or one morning I wake up and it's just a little harder for me to get going. And those are moments where I have already had a self-care routine or I have a things that I do to help myself, whether it be like, hey, like I'm going to go on a hike this morning or, hey, I'm going to reach out to a friend and say like how I'm feeling. You know, whatever it looks like. And that's where I switch to like, I want to just abolish this and this is just gone as opposed to I want to manage it. And that's all mental health is being able to manage yourself and understand yourself better. So one of the things I did in quarantine was work on the things that I knew I really wanted to work on. I was like, I don't want to be as passive aggressive anymore. Like, I feel like this is something that I grew up around and that was like, was my environment when I was younger, and I don't want that to carry into my future. So I'm going to work on it. I'm going to acknowledge when I'm being passive aggressive. I'm going to apologize when I do, and I'm going to work on not being like that. So those are things that like I do as opposed to like saying like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just want it to be gone. It's not, it doesn't, to me, it didn't help. It didn't make me feel better. Cause then I felt when I did it, I'm like, I messed up. It's all right. I already messed up, you know?
Right. And I like how you really took the time during, this quarantine to really focus on the things that you needed to focus on to improve yourself as a woman, as a leader. So
I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, Tiff, what have you had control on of your life and what you've done? I had to stop pointing the finger at other people. Like, oh, you hurt me. Oh, you hurt me. Okay, no, Tiff. Like, what have you played? What part did you play in this? And how can you not do that next time? And sometimes it's not even your fault. Sometimes it's like, I just was there in the moment, but I think I wanted to I didn't want to be the victim anymore. I wanted to take control over who I am. And that's when I started pouring so much into the people that had already been pouring love into me. I stopped trying to like pour it into people that didn't want it, clearly.
I agree. You really cannot control the way other people, make you feel.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, I need to reword that. You can control your feelings.
Yeah.
You cannot control the way other people treat you. So that's up to you to decide, oh, am I going to feel sad about myself or am I going to feel happy and just like accept who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So you talk about your self-care routine a lot. So share with us your routine. I'm pretty sure a lot of these ladies tuning in would love to know what you do for, self-love, how to treat yourself.
Wow.
So it's all about that.
First off, I really listen to my body in terms of like, if I want a bowl of ice cream or 2 or 3, I will let myself imbibe for a night. I really work on this term called balance. So, I make sure that what I'm putting into my body is good, but I also allow myself to eat things every so often that I enjoy. So I'm not making myself feel like I'm on any kind of diet.
Right.
And I acknowledge my days where I'm like, dang, Tiff, you look a little bloated today. You still rocking it. I acknowledge myself in those moments and I don't say like, hey, maybe I'm not feeling as good today. But those are like some of like the things like I do to combat some of the feelings of like where I don't feel like I'm enough in any sense of like space. I love, like I said, I've said this a million times, I feel like, but I love to hike. I love getting in nature. I love being able to write poetry, especially when I feel down, when I feel those emotions, I put them onto paper. And I used to go to, when we were open, I used to go to poetry lounges and I used to actually perform it. Conquered a huge fear of mine. And one of the things I love doing is conquering fears as well. It's like enjoyable. Like my best friend's been trying to get me to roller skate forever. And I'm like, no, I cannot roller skate. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. So stuff like that, I like taking up new things. I love music. Music therapy is huge. Like I will put on music every morning to get my day started. And the first thing that I do in the morning, I check my phone for my emails and work. Anything else, it can wait until I jam out to my favorite song, until I get in the shower. It can wait until I set the vibe of my environment.
Right.
And then what are some other things I do? I love being with my friends when I can, safely, guys. I love their company. I love just hanging out, watching movies. I really take time for myself, and I single out time in the day, no matter how small it is, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever I can take, even 5 minutes. And I'm like, what do I want to do right now? Do I want to listen to music? Do I want to watch something? Do I want to eat what I want to eat? I'm very intentional about how I'm feeling about me. Because who's going to love you if you don't? You have to love yourself.
Exactly.
You have to do that. And sometimes loving myself is calling one of my friends to check in on them. These are all things that I do to make myself feel good about my days. Sometimes it's going to work and just trying to be the best I can in my space. If someone's having a bad day, if someone's not feeling great, how can I serve you better? How can I help you through this? Is there anything else I can do? These are all things that I like to do.
And what I love about you, Tiff, is that as much as a busy woman you are, you really do make the time. And I feel like there's not a lot of people out there like you. And I just want to commend you for that, because that has really made you the the person you are right now. That's how you shine your light. And I encourage a lot of you people, if you guys, life is too short, right? If you guys have a loved one out there who you haven't spoken to in a while, reach out to them. You know, I'm pretty sure all from last year, we've realized life is literally so short.
Yeah.
And you really just want to find ways to really cherish the people who are in your life, because at the end of the day, all we have, like all this materialistic stuff, is all temporary. But what do we have? If you have a kind heart, that's how people are going to remember you as, right?
And I think another thing too, if I can interject, just like discussing mental health,
Course.
that I did this year too. Sometimes you have to set boundaries with people that have hurt you, people that you love, even with family. Sometimes we have to set boundaries for our own mental health, because sometimes somebody else's energy or like whatever they're hurting, whatever they're perpetuating, can hurt us. So I think along the same lines of course, like send love, show love, be there for people. But sometimes when you've done so much, there's nothing else that you can do. You have to choose yourself.
That's
so like I said, in the morning, sometimes if I really need to like sit in my own emotions, if I need to set my own intentions, burn my incense, chill with my crystals, and just be like, yes, wow, this is amazing. I'm living. I'm here. Instead of answering all my text messages, then that's what I'm doing for myself. I'm setting that boundary with myself, and that is helping me. And that helps me serve in my job. That helps me be a better friend. Like all of those things help me are helping me feel better.
Agree.
That's something that I think, well, we didn't really touch on it a lot, but it's very, very, very important to set healthy boundaries for yourself.
I totally agree. I love to watch Oprah. So I was watching an Oprah episode and she did an interview with Michelle Obama on just women empowerment, right? And she was saying that there have been people in her life that have judged her and have told her that she's so full of herself. But Oprah literally said, I literally don't care. I could be as full of myself as much as I want to. You know how she is. And she was like, how, like, I think you said this, how can you pour from an empty cup? Yeah. You have to have your cup just overflow with love and just self-love. And sometimes you gotta be selfish.
If that dips a little low, you need to take a little step back and fill it up again. Yeah.
Right. You gotta fill that cup. It's okay if, you know, you wake up and you're like, okay, I got this, like with all that confidence. That's how you should wake up, right? With all that energy, right? So I'm one where I'm a believer in everything has to be aligned in your life and have balance, right? Yes. Talk about how to balance your spiritual life, your mental life, and your physical life.
Wow, this is I love this, because this year has been incredibly, like, I feel like I've been in alignment this entire year. And like a year ago, I remember thinking how cool it would be to just even be in the space I am now. But nothing that I'm doing right now is anything I ever thought I would do. It's 10 times more. Isn't that
crazy?
But I remember, like, I thought a year and a half ago, I was like, this would probably be cool if this framework of like for my life happened. And I remember just thinking, like, always thinking like that would be amazing if this happened this way. And I feel as though, like, whatever you believe in, I believe in God, but I also say, like, I'm very spiritual. I like to tend away from being super religious, as I'm very spiritual. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that energies flow. And if you continue to give out that energy, that vibe, that love, it's going to come back towards you. So I really reframed the way I saw the world and the way I saw things, and how I would also communicate with God, whether it be a prayer, whether it be talking to him while I drive, whether it be like anything like that. I connect in that way. And that's why I hike too. I connect with the fact that God, in my eyes, God made everything around me. So he made this beautiful, like, nature. And like, I look up and I look at the sky and I think how infinite it is. And I'm like, wow, I'm like one of like 500 million or however many people in this world. Like, I just think like these large, huge thoughts. And I feel like that has circled into my idea of the world, and the idea that, like, my energy passes through everyone I meet, even the person I walk by in the hallway, even the person I go by in a store. And I constantly want that energy to radiate love. So I feel like this whole last year has just been that alignment that I've really truly been searching for. And now I'm like on a path of purpose. And I've always felt this purpose, but now I'm like, no, I'm really where I'm supposed to be. And it feels amazing because all that hurt, it was all worth it. I was because it was all worth it because it was all teaching me to where I'm at now.
Right.
Spirituality has truly transformed because, you know, God has done such great work in my life, but I've also been able to find my own spirituality in that. It wasn't this framework anymore of even how I grew up. It was what I intentionally wanted my relationship with him to look like.
Right.
I'm still on that journey. I am still well in that journey. However, I have a really great, I feel like, relationship with myself that I'm really able to tune into all those energies around me and pull from them.
We have a comment from Miss Maffei. She said, God is our friend. He knows what we need. Just acknowledge him every second of the day. He has big things in store for us. Respect the world, others, and ourselves, and he will do the rest.
God is everywhere.
Everywhere. I totally agree. He is everywhere. He is in everyone. So I like to encourage like everybody to shine their light, because that light, that's God, or well, for me, that's who I believe in, right? And so don't be ashamed to share that light with other people. You know, you talking on this show, it takes a lot of courage and confidence to even share, to even share your story, because a lot of people out there would be, you know, ashamed that you were bulimic, that you were going through those struggles, but you never know who's watching, and you never know who you can make a big impact on. You know what I mean? It literally takes one person.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So besides that one friend that has helped you, and I know we talked about the people who have loved you, who do you look up to that keeps you to become the strong Tiffini Stone that you are today?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
It could be multiple people, like your best friends, anybody who you want to give a shout out to, show some love.
Wow. I mean, like I said, I feel like this year in itself, like has really, I've just really learned so much about myself. Mm-hmm. And I know that in that I was able to see like all the people that have loved me through and through everything and have always accepted me. And I think that allowed me to step into a career that I love, and I'm able to just care for and love my team. And that in itself has truly transformed the way I see things and the way I see myself. And I see myself in a way different light than I ever had before. Because I used to not accept who I was. I used to feel like I didn't know who I was and that being myself wasn't enough. I used to really like sit in those feelings. And I still do. That's one of my biggest struggles. However, I really focus on, like, now that I acknowledge that I know that that's something that I struggle with, I work much harder. So I feel like probably one of the biggest influences in my life is my best friend. Like, Aaliyah has been there for me since the beginning of time and in high school. And I feel like, you know, she was able to love a young girl who didn't even know who she was and who did not love herself through everything, like everything. And I remember that there was a moment in college where I didn't want to tell her something because I did not want her to be mad at me or upset at me for like basically going back to this one dude. For me. And I was so afraid I didn't tell her for like probably like 6 months. I didn't tell her, like, yeah, I totally got back with this guy or whatever. And like afterwards, when I told her, she was like, I hope you never feel like you can ever have to hide anything from me again, because I don't see you any differently. And whoo, girl, that got to me. Like, that in itself, you know, we're not perfect people and we're very imperfect. So for someone to love us through everything, those people, like, I this is like super crazy and like out there, and I don't want to trigger anyone, but like if I died today, I would have been able to experience unconditional love. And that's all I want to give to other people.
Right.
Don't accept anything else from me. Come as you are, be who you are. I'm going to love you for who you are. Right. And I was able to, I have am so lucky and blessed that I have felt that.
Yeah, and that's such a blessing. And I've also met Aaliyah. She's an amazing woman. She also has
She's actually perfect. So like we're just gonna
she also has so much light in herself too. And I love the fact that you said you just want to give unconditional love to everybody and you just want everybody to be happy. I feel like that is the most important thing, to be happy yourself, is to have other people in your life be happy, right? Yeah. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. You guys have been showing so much love. Literally from the Bay Area, LA, we have Delaware tuning in.
Oh, no. Yay.
We have literally the Philippines again. My cousins, Paulo DeSena. T is still on. I love her, and thank you to everybody who's been tuning into my shows. This is literally the only the second show that I've had so far, and I've had amazing guests. Right, Sabrina's on from my middle school. So make sure you guys tune in and follow my Instagram. I know Tiffany's handles are on, scrolling on the bottom. Follow her. She is filled with a lot of inspiration and positivity. And Tiff, we got to do this again. Okay.
Yes,
I would literally have to do this again because a lot of people love the topic mental health. I feel like there's literally a million things we can talk about, right? Yeah. You have been an amazing guest, and I loved everything that you said. Do you have any shout outs?
Oh my gosh, no. Shout out to everyone that's even on this. I think it's so dope that you guys tuned in to hear about such a topic as this. It's hard. It's not easy to talk about. Took me years to be able to feel like I could actually come on and talk about things that I went through, but I don't identify with my experiences. They just have shaped me into who I am. So I think that if you yourself have gone through anything, reach out to me. My DMs are wide open if you need someone to support you. I know Nikki is amazing. She, even having the show, is showing her love and support. So shout out to Nikki for just bringing this together. And I'm just so excited for all of us to come and all the other guests that are going to be able to share their story, share their platform, and share their light.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiff. So you guys make sure you follow her Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. She's on TikTok now. I do want to give a shout out to my girl, Tiana. You know me and my shout outs. Her Instagram is Tiana1. She sent me these lashes, awesome lashes, and these lip glosses. And they're super like natural, and they smell really good too. So this one, I think it's like rose, and this one's strawberry. So her Instagram is Tiana1. And thank you to Gem Lashes for my lashes. I said I'd give her a shout out as well. So thank you for making me feel good, look good, feel good. And I cannot wait to see you guys on my next show. Tiffany, mwah, I love you so much. We'll keep in touch. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Do we go down?
Yeah.